1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bang bang, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bang bang, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Babbles. How are you guys doing? How has your week been? I hope it's been fantastic. This is episode 119 of the Babylon 5 Podcast, and we're calling this bad boy Bruised. We're calling this bad boy Bruised. If you want to know why we're calling this bad boy Bruised, it's because Halle just put out a new movie. And I'll say after seeing this movie, instantly I was like, was she ever a good actress? That question came to mind as I got midway through this movie, and I was like, yo, I'm going to shut this off for now. And I had to come back to it. I just wasn't into... It's very, this Halle Berry movie, man. If you guys don't know, she plays, a down-and-out former UFC fighter. I'll say UFC fighter. The story is she used to fight in the UFC. But the story starts with her, cleaning houses and shit like that. And then she needs to work her way back up to the UFC. But she does it instantly. Right? She has, a bullshit-ass, fight underground, and then somehow instantly, has an Invicta fight. Has a fight in Invicta. That's fucking weird. Now that I think about that. Why'd she have that fight in Invicta? Versus fucking Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, it wasn't really Valentina Shevchenko. It was Valentina Shevchenko playing a much worse fighter than herself. I was watching this shit and I'm saying, if Valentina Shevchenko fought the way she's fighting in this movie, we wouldn't know her name. She's fighting terribly out there. Fighting terribly. I didn't like the fight sequence. The scrambles looked nasty. Because it seemed like maybe with just how they were doing it, there were moments where people would get deep on chokes, or at least I would see it. As they were scrambling, they'd be real deep, but then they'd just get up and move to another position to further the scramble. And I'm like, half of this doesn't make any sense, because you had them in a very compromising position a second ago, and then you just got up. There was at one point where I feel like Valentina Shevchenko was on the ground or some shit, and I don't know, man. It was I don't feel like anybody used their butterfly guards, and it was somebody was on their back. And I think Valentina went to side control or whatever, and was just not even side control. It was just went to the side of Halle Berry. And then Halle Berry just went to all fours. And they were kind of just looking at each other for a second. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What am I watching? Meanwhile, I go to Twitter. Niggas is tweeting oh, this movie's so amazing. Halle Berry's so great. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? This is one of the cheesiest movies I've ever seen. They've been hyping this movie up via the UFC since pre-COVID, since 2019, they had Halle Berry coming out to events. She'd be there at weigh-ins. Just recently, when Rose Namajunas defended her belt, fucking Halle Berry was at the weigh-ins flexing for some reason. And then after the fight, she put the belt on Rose Namajunas. And at that point, I was like, I never need to see this movie. But it popped up, and I was like, oh, let's just give it a chance. Let's just see how Bruised is. And you know, the most shocking part of Bruised is I can't believe they got Keith Peterson involved in this nonsense. Keith No Nonsense Peterson is fucking reffing this movie. He's reffing in this movie. How did they get Keith Peterson involved in this level of nonsense? I thought he was against this shit. This shit exactly. I thought he was against it. But I guess not. Because they got Keith Peterson in fucking Bruised. It's a really bad movie. I felt like it's the kind of movie that, like, they play, like, 100 times a day on HBO. Man, it reminds me. I forget the movie. Man, was Halle Berry the mom in that movie? Fuck. Was it Jennifer Lopez? Where, like, some kid came into their life and, like, they were in, like, New York, and it was like, oh, they got to get to know each other. It was like, damn, I swear I've seen this movie before. This movie, Bruised, was just a rehash of every, like, bad movie from the early 2000s. And then as I'm watching this, I'm like, damn. I was asking my wife, I'm like, what is your favorite Halle Berry movie? What's your favorite Halle Berry role? Couldn't name. I bet no one can. Like, honestly, maybe Baps, you know? I was like, damn, like, people's, like, attraction for her took her so far. Even at, like, 55 years old, in an MMA movie, niggas is like, yeah, we'll watch that. Are you out of your mind? This one thing, she always plays, like, these stricken mother roles. You know what I'm saying? She's got to get it together. There's some shit like Monster Ball. And she does this, like you hear how Halle Berry talks, right? But whenever she plays these, like, hood roles, stricken mother roles, she does this, like, weird, like, I don't know, man. It's like, it's too ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Like, the level of, like, fucking whatever she's doing with how she's talking, it's a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm, like, offended at this point. Like, why are you talking like that? You just think everybody from the hood talks this way? Because you don't talk this way normally, Holly. But whenever you play these roles of somebody from the inner city, you start to do this weird, like, I can barely form a sentence talk shit. This weird, like, barely being able to form a sentence thing. With this, like, I don't know, man. It's a very insulting tone that I hear from Halle Berry when she plays these roles. And this movie was just pure trash. Pure trash. I seen fucking numbskulls on Twitter. Fucking numbskulls. Saying like it was touching. Saying moments in this movie were fucking touching. This movie was fucking random. And then it ends, alright, spoiler alert. Well, so at one point, fucking Holly's like, okay, I'm big, you're little. Little protects big. And, like, just talking this weird talk she talks, you know what I'm saying? And the kid just won't speak because he witnessed his father like the guy she was in a relationship with, and then she got pregnant, gave birth, and then just ran is the story. That's the story. And her son, who she just never met because after she physically gave birth to him, she ran. And so he just won't talk after he witnessed his father, who was taking care of him, get murdered in front of him, get stabbed to death. I don't even think they even touched on, like, he never, like, testified, like, yo, this nigga stabbed my dad. They were like, yo, he saw his father get stabbed to death, and now he's not talking. And then the movie, like, is just real cheesy in the end. And as I said, that Big Little part, the nigga finally says, thank you, Big. And it's like they smile at each other. And then all of a sudden, like, the gospel fucking organs start playing, and you hear the black lady, oh, you gotta know your roots. And I was like, yo, this is fucking crazy. No, they did not just put all that nonsense in there. No, they did not just put all that nonsense. And I'm sitting there like, wow, could Halle Berry ever act? If she could, I don't know if I've seen it. She got her first, Oscar? For letting Billy Bob pipe? She got an Oscar for Monster Ball. And I'm telling you, who's seen Monster Ball? Only fucking perverts. Me and some other guys I know by name have seen Monster Ball. And we weren't like, whoa, just look at her acting here, the way she delivers, the way you look at her conviction in this scene. That's not what we were here for. We were there for the same reason Billy Bob was there. All right? Me and a couple perverted guys I know by name. All right? We're the only people that saw that movie. I was describing to my wife, I was here like P. Diddy, Heath Ledger, like all these random ass people in this movie. And Billy Bob is just like a racist ass cop. Sorry. Billy Bob's just a racist ass cop, and then he starts piping this black lady. It's just real shit how the story goes. And like and then he starts to see his error of his ways. I was saying, like, there's a moment in the movie where it's like, in hindsight, they never even needed to put this part in the movie. But, like, Billy Bob has sex with Halle in Monster Ball. And then in the morning, he vomits. And then he says to her, oh, that wasn't because of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mentioned that to my wife, and she was like, oh. Like, and it's just like, yo, yeah, I guess that whole part of the movie never even needed to happen. They didn't even have to put that in there. But he was once blind, and now he sees, I guess. He fucking, you know, they needed to throw him in vomiting after his night with Halle. They just needed that scene for a little gusto. So I ask you guys this question. What is your favorite? What is the most iconic? Not your favorite. What's the most iconic? Or fuck it, both. Give me anything. Most favorite iconic Halle Berry role, my nigga. Give me something where she's acting her ass off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll go see a fucking Leonardo DiCaprio movie if you tell me Leonardo DiCaprio is in the movie. I don't need to know what the movie is about. Just tell me he's in the movie. I feel like it's probably going to be pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And I can pick some fucking films as an example. You'll be like, oh, fuck, this dude's a great fucking actor. He's involved in some great shit. Now, what is Halle? Where's her fucking... I love Wolf of Wall Street. Does Halle have a Wolf of Wall Street? Or I think that's probably stretching too far right there. A Wolf of Wall Street, that's saying a lot right there. I don't know if Halle needs a Wolf of Wall Street, but god damn it, is she a decent actress at all? Is she a decent actress at all? Are we like being real with ourselves here? This movie was fucking terrible. It was terrible. You guys been promoting this. As a fucking MMA fan, a guy watching UFC fucking weekly, you guys been shoving that fact that this movie is coming for fucking 2 years now. And it's like nobody was like, yo, this movie's fucking terrible. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw this movie and was like, hey, low-key, this should probably be made to TV, and we should stop talking about it. Like when WWE would put out a movie, I think I looked it up, and it was like 1,000 movies they put out. I was like, I've never heard of any of this. I heard of, what was that, like, See No Evil? There was like a couple that I think I didn't know at the time that they were like WWE films. But there's like possibly like 1,000 films, and you've heard of 2. I think The Rock is in them. It's like movies with The Rock. I think The Mummy or the Scorpion King is a WWE film. Pretty sure that is the Scorpion King. And I think See No Evil, which was like a horror movie. But other than that, the other thousands movies that they put out, you've never seen that. It might have all Halle Berry. Halle Berry might be in all those movies. Maybe that's why they fucking suck. Alright? Maybe that's why they fucking suck. This movie's just terrible, alright? You guys wasted our time. I'm seeing fucking numbskulls just talk about how touching this movie is, how great the acting is from Halle. They're all like, oh man, I feel like I need to get in the gym now. I've seen a lot of that. I was like, that movie inspired you? That movie inspired you? Get out of here. That was a weird ass movie. Alright? Then they had there was a lesbian scene with her coach, right? She had a lesbian scene with her coach. And as an MMA guy, that's fucking crazy. You got a coach just fucking her fucking the people they're training? That's the number one thing we don't want happening in these gyms. God damn it. And y'all just make that just like a cool part of the story. Then they just start dating casually, like as if like people shouldn't be like, yo, this is your cash cow that you're training right now. This is weird. This is probably like, what's the conflict of interest? Conflict of interest, like as an MMA guy, this is the number one shit we don't want happening. And they just threw that shit in there for a couple perverted motherfuckers that I know by first name. Not Jermaine. Jermaine wasn't here for it. I don't like that message you're sending where fucking coaches are fucking their students. I don't like that fucking... You guys are crazy. Alright? I can't believe the UFC allowed their fighters to be a part of this. I can't believe fucking Keith Peterson is involved in the nonsense. They threw Gabby Garcia in there. I think Gabby Garcia, if she's not in Mortal Kombat, will be in Mortal Kombat pretty soon. She looks pretty giant in there. They were calling her the werewolf when she fought Halle Berry in some fucking underground, unsanctioned ass fight where Halle Berry fucking headbutts this lady fucking face first. Just fucks up her own nose really bad. with these face-first headbutts. I was like, yo, this shit's stupid. That's pretty dumb. Who trained you to do that? Who trained you to do that? Niggas just like, oh, shit. She means business. No. No, she does not. She clearly... she clearly has a screw loose. If you were that able to do all them fucking headbutts, you probably could have fucking threw some punches. I'm just saying. She probably could have threw some punches. But instead, she fucked herself up, and then somehow it was like, all right, I'm going to sign this contract and fight this lady in a couple weeks. It's like, but what? All right. Okay. It's just weird. It was a terrible movie. It's called Bruised. If you guys like fucking train wrecks, watch it, you know. I wouldn't say don't watch it because I didn't enjoy it. And I'm not saying you would enjoy it. I'm saying watch it so you can see how fucking bad it is. Wouldn't you want to experience that? Wouldn't you want to be like, dude, that shit was so fucking terrible? You could tell your friends. It'd be an anecdote at the bar. Talk about how fucking cheesy this shit is. It's fucking whack, ladies and gentlemen. It's fucking whack. But what's not whack is you guys following this podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal accounts at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast, I think I probably just said it, at Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. And if you guys want to follow this podcast, it's whoa. If you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and follow me. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys are on, if you guys want to cop some merchandise, go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And, go over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod to be my patrons. I did not raise the tiers as I said I would yet. I have not done it yet. I did attempt to. I was trying to do it on my phone and it wouldn't let me, and I was like, well, then I got to jump on the laptop. I had to jump on this Mac Mini, and I was just feeling lazy. And just as I saw it there, I was like, oh, shit, I didn't raise the tiers. But you niggas got some time. Because you got a little bit of time. I don't know how much time you got, but, you know, try to get that low price while you can, while it's there. Patreon.com/Babylon5Pod for that low price before the price goes up. And we got UFC Vegas 44, ladies and gentlemen. It's back. It's coming back. I will be watching that fight in Chicago. It's actually my birthday on Tuesday, and my lovely wife and I are gonna just take a weekend to Chicago, and then so I'm gonna watch the fight from Chicago, and after we're gonna go to fucking medieval times. Never been, but we're both randomly childhood fans of the movie Cable Guy. My wife had the book. I always wanted to go to medieval times, so we're gonna go to fucking medieval times. I'm gonna see if they'll let me. I know they won't, but I'm like, yo, just let me joust the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Let me do something. Let me get out there. I'm trying to get active. I'm at medieval times. Give me some... Should I bring my own silverware? Would that be too ghetto if I bring some plastic forks? Oh, shit. Because just when I was watching the movie, I'm babbling right now, but when I was watching the movie, one thing that always stood out to me was like, they were like, yo, can I get a fork? And they were like, they didn't have utensils in medieval times. And the nigga was like, but you had Pepsi in medieval times? And she was like, dude, I just work here. And I remember as a kid watching that movie, I was like, why is she saying she just worked there? Like, yeah, you just worked there. Like, but like, I was thinking like, you can't give him utensils. I just didn't understand the whole thing. But now I'm definitely there with the whole, nigga, I just work here aspect of it all. Don't come at me with your nonsense. Like, hey, my nigga, I just work here, bro. I'm not trying to sit here and even try to explain how these motherfuckers run this company. But I don't know. I'm hyped for it. Might sneak in some plastic forks. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But UFC Vegas 44, we have it headlined by Jose Aldo versus Rob Font, which could be a very exciting fight. It should be Jose Aldo's last fight versus Pedro Munoz, I believe, was a very exciting fight. Aldo's boxing looked very much improved. He looked phenomenal in that fight. But this is my thing with this fight. So Rob Font is a pretty good boxer himself. And I think what it'll come down to is whose game will win out. Because we've definitely seen Jose Aldo quit in there. We've seen Jose Aldo quit a many times. We done seen Jose Aldo quit. We seen it with Petrian. That fight went on way too long. It's just when in his losses, we've seen him crumble. Not against Marlon. I didn't see him crumble against Marlon, but we've seen Jose quit in there. But I feel like with the improvements that we've seen from Jose, I feel like his leg kicks would definitely do him some good. But with his skill level, like, I think Jose right now is still better. He's at a higher level than most of the top 15. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a legend. You guys are hoping to make a name off of him, but I think he still leaps and bounds above most of the top 15. So I'm going to have to go with Jose here against Rob Font. I think Font's good, but I don't know if he'll be enough. We'll see. I would love to be wrong. Font just went in there and beat the shit out of Cody Garbrandt. Garbrandt looked pretty pedestrian against Rob Font. I don't think Font will, you know what I'm saying? Coming into the fight, I don't think that Font will be able to do that to Jose Aldo. I feel like Aldo will be able to work his game. He's got some new wrinkles in his game. I think he'll be able to work his game. He will be successful. And I don't know about finishing, but I think he'll be able to win this fight. He'll be able to outpoint Rob Font, is what I believe. Another fight I'm very interested in, you have Jimmy Croot versus Jamal Hill, man. You know, you got these young prospects here. I think everything that I'm seeing is telling me that Hill should win this fight, or at least should be the favorite to win this fight. I haven't looked at any odds, but everything is telling me Hill should win this fight. But if anyone in the UFC would be able to tough out a victory, or at least would fight or would try to tough out a victory, no matter the situation they're in, that person is Jimmy Croot. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him against Lionheart not being able to stand on the one leg, but still trying to go in the second round. He can't stand. But he's trying to do all that he can to win that fight. If anybody is going to do it, it's Jimmy Croot. We've seen it in multiple fights with Jimmy Croot. So it tells us that between these two prospects, Croot being 25, Hill being 30, I think Croot has more fights. But it's going to be a great fight. I think Hill should take it, but I think it'll be a great fight for these young prospects here. Real good fight. Another fight, I don't know, Brad Riddell versus Rafael Faisive. Someone's one has to go. Both fighters are 10-1. So someone's one has to go. I'm not sure, actually. Like, I don't want to say, like, I usually watch, like, as many fights as I can, so I have seen some Brad Riddell fights, but I don't really remember anything that really stood out. Honestly, when I'm seeing that he's 10-1, I was like, damn, is he a lot better than I'm giving him credit for right now? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at his record like, oh, how good is he? Maybe I've just, like, not paid attention. Maybe nothing for me has stood out. Let's see. I know he trains with, like, Israel Adesanya. He's out of that fight camp. All right, so he beat Drew Dober. He beat Alex da Silva. I don't know who the fuck that is. Magomed Mustaev. Who beat this nigga, though? That's what I'm trying to find when I'm looking at this, honestly. Who beat this nigga? Some nigga named Abel Brights back in 2018 via armbar. I mean, yeah, that could happen in the first round. He got caught is what it sounds like. I'm not saying, like, you know, it is what it is. He got caught. Damn, man, I gotta watch him fight this time, and really pay attention, cause all I know about Faisive, his opponent, is he's, you know, a really good kickboxer, and he does all the leaning back matrix shit when people throw kicks at him. He's known for leaning back really far. But yeah, I think he's a Muay Thai coach, I believe. Yeah, Tiger Muay Thai coach. Blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's a dangerous guy. You know, this is gonna be a good fight, I think. I can't really tell you how Brad fights, but that's another interesting fight for next weekend. We just had the start of a new combat sport last night. It was Triad Combat, and they had a triangle-shaped ring. And so, as I'm starting to see that this thing is even happening, I was, like, unaware that this was happening, or that anything was happening. And then I was seeing headlines or whatever about the press conference, about Shannon Briggs, Quentin Rampage Jackson, and I'm looking into all this shit, and it's like Shannon Briggs, Quentin Rampage Jackson. I look at the press conference, and it's the only people really talking are Shannon Briggs, Quentin Rampage Jackson. I'm like, oh shit, I'd love to see these two guys fight. And they just going at it like, oh, it's gonna be a quick night for you, and like Shannon Briggs is talking all this shit. And I'm looking up like, yo, what time are they fighting? Like, I can't see, like, what time are they fighting? And then as I go and see the card, it's like they're not fighting at all. But the way it was promoted, I'm like, I could have sworn that Rampage and Shannon Briggs were about to fight each other. I could have sworn it was promoted that way. I was like, I didn't even really know everybody else who was fighting. I was like, Mike Perry's on the card? Mike Perry? I watched Mike Perry's fight. We can talk about that in a second. But I was like, you guys kind of promoted it in a way to seem like Rampage was about to fight Shannon Briggs. And then throughout the whole pay-per-view, because I bought it, it was $20 for the full thing or for just the pay-per-view, or you could subscribe for $3 a month. So I was like, you can have my $3. And throughout the whole fucking pay-per-view, they're just like, what do you think? You think we're going to get to see Shannon Briggs versus Rampage in there? And they're like, yeah. Like, as they're going on, they're like, I'm pretty sure we're going to see it. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen now. Yup, And then it's like, dude, this whole time y'all was hyping it up as basically like that was the fight that was happening. I didn't know other fights. I didn't know what the other fights were until the press conference. And then I'm coming to find out that the fight that I thought was happening ain't even happening. Y'all promoted it in that way purposely, obviously. Got me in there. You definitely wouldn't have got me in there with a headlining fight of Frank Mir versus, I don't know who he just got knocked out by. But he got knocked out by somebody. I don't know who. I didn't watch it. I turned it off after Mike Perry. And that's my whole point. I thought Rampage was fighting. You guys kind of play me. But honestly, I think the Triad sport in general, Triad Combat, is pretty interesting. I think what it is like, it tries to level the playing field between boxing and MMA. You can, there's no takedowns, no leg kicks, no elbows, no knees, but you can clinch and throw strikes from the clinch. So you can, if you're a good grappler, you know what I'm saying, you could definitely get that dirty boxing in there, really work your game, which I was like, that's a pretty interesting aspect, because most of the MMA guys want to get close to you and have a brawl, make it dirty, and maybe grapple up when the going gets tough, if you will. So that's and the thing with when the MMA guys go to boxing, and then they usually end up just holding the whole time, and then the ref comes in and breaks it up. But if you have a thing where they can come in and just hold that guy and throw punches, that levels the playing field, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? That boxer's going to do everything he can to stay the fuck away from that MMA guy. And it was weird the weird thing I thought about it was like team MMA versus team boxing. So the first fight, I think the boxer won. So team boxing got 3 points, and then so on and so forth. And it was like victories, like this team won, like Rampage's team ultimately won for the night. But I was like, that's a weird concept. The fact that your team gets points, team MMA versus team boxing. I just thought that was pretty weird, but that's just this first event. I think it's a pretty interesting crossover. They're saying Mike Perry made over $250,000, which is much more money than most fighters in the UFC. They're saying that like he made more money than Petr Yan, who's champion, who just recently fought at pay-per-view. Yeah, Mike Perry won his fight against this boxer. I think his name was like Michael something. Some guy, man. He's some boxer. I never heard of these boxers that these people were fighting. I've never heard of these people before. But Mike Perry got knocked down once, I believe. I believe he got knocked down multiple times. But the first time they were like, nope. Ref said he got hit in the back of the head, so it's not a knockdown. It's like, dude, that's still a knockdown. He went to the ground, okay? But I guess that's how they have their rules there. But yeah, it was. I think it could be interesting. I think it could be a much better option for older fighters who are looking to have a better payday. I think it's a better option than like bare knuckle. Like, if fucking Paige Van Zandt could do Triad rather than that brawling-ass, scarring-ass bare knuckle, I think that's a better option for her. I think it's a better option for most fighters. Even not even just, like, the aging. Just, like, if you're not doing the UFC thing, we've seen that, as I said, it's much more lucrative for Mike Perry. Mike Perry just made more money than most fighters in the UFC, so I think that's a much better option right there is Triller Triad Combat. For people, I don't know, once they're out of the UFC, if you will. I think that could be a pretty decent option. And I feel like this could be a pretty quick episode as I give you guys the social medias again. Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a quick one this week. Just how it is. Been working out a lot this month, you know. New gym. It's a pretty cool new gym. Could talk about that later. I'd rather talk more when a nigga sees, when we get them results. When a nigga's out here stunting on you motherfuckers. Then we could be like, oh yeah, it's that place down there, y'all should go. But until then, you ain't gonna hear it. Until then, we'll see. We'll talk about it sparingly. But yeah, if you guys want to follow this podcast at Babylon 5 Pod, well, I was saying that. I was saying that there because, like, yeah, I'm busier. Been, like, just doing a little bit more these days. So we're going to cut this episode a little bit short. I got to work early. So that's what we're doing. And if you guys want to follow this podcast, as I said, on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to this podcast at you can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. And if you guys want to add me on Xbox, my gamer tag is at SauceBoss414. You guys follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys want to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop and head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod to be my patrons at that low price before them prices go up, my nigies. Yes. And the one niji in there out of all the 18,000 niggas I done thrown in this episode, but this is episode 119, Bruised. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys next week with video coverage. Film at 11 next week, but not this week, because I ain't feel like it. All right, yep. I'll see you guys next week. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling, chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican